There's no denying that Burma, or Myanmar, is now at the top of a growing number of holidaymakers' bucket lists. Aussie traveller Chris Matthews visited just 2 weeks ago.
There's a lot of buses on the road. A lot of the long-haul buses are big new coaches, as you'd expect in the other country. But you could also get like a 1950s leftover as well to take you on your way, which is also appealing because you're packed in there with the locals and things like that as well. The road, generally pretty terrible. A lot of the distances you take by road will take a lot of time.
US dollars are largely accepted, and you'd better make sure your notes are in pristine condition, or else they won't be exchanged.
Everything used to have to be done through the black market, like shady guys on street corners or gold dealers or things like that. But now all the banks will give you a decent rate. The only thing is you have to decide beforehand how much you're going to take in, and because once you're in there, there's no sort of option for getting more money in if you run out.
This is the market where you change your money.
That certainly wasn't the case when Hayley Wilson visited 15 months ago. She had to change her money on the black market. But on the ground, not much else has changed so far.
There's no communication, so if you need to be communicating with your job while you're away, then it's not recommended. The only phone lines there are in the hotels are landlines, so you have to, no mobile phones anywhere.
This year we have about 30% increase of inbound tourists, so we are preparing for next season to have more tourists, to give more accommodation, help to the tourists, and also transportation. I think after foreign investment law is approved, then many people will come in to invest, and they were going to make many hotels. We need it.
Come 2015, not only the hotels, but Burma's roads and airports could get a facelift too, as the country becomes more accessible. It's part of the ASEAN group of countries, made up of Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand and Vietnam. They've all pledged themselves to radical changes to become one economic community, a region with free movement of goods, services, investments, skilled labour and a freer flow of capital, much like the EU in Europe. Many independent travellers say it's relatively straightforward to get a Burmese visa, but still, like many other countries, you have to go to the embassy, fill in some forms, hand over your passport as well as some cash. But wouldn't it be much easier if there was a single visa for all of Southeast Asia? A single visa is on the agenda for many, if not all, the ASEAN governments. Whether they can make it happen by 2015 remains to be seen. But it certainly would make life easier for backpackers and independent travellers on a budget.
You have to check a lot of facts before you leave, so that you have everything, and you have to bring a lot of photos and everything too. Since we're going traveling around the borders. But it would be really nice to have one visa.
Because those visa fees sure do add up. For instance, in the past few years, I've travelled to many ASEAN countries, and I've had to pay close to $70 US for a visa to Vietnam, $25 to enter Indonesia when I went on an elephant safari, and close to $20 for departure tax. I paid $30 to go cycling in Laos. I forked out roughly $75 for a visa to go on an island hopping tour around the Philippines, and almost $30 to see the temples at Angkor Wat in Cambodia.
Maybe just abolish the whole visa and that whole process, which is like EU did. That there will really be a smooth and seamless flow of people between these countries, and you don't have to go through these processes. If those things become too heavy, people will look for other destinations where it's easier and less expensive to go to.
By 2015, the aviation industry expects almost 40% of passengers will travel on routes to, from, or within Asia Pacific, while flyers in Europe and North America will amount to less than 30% of the world's total passenger traffic. ASEAN is also working towards a single aviation plan, opening up the skies across Asia, which could only mean more competition among the various routes in the region, which will in turn, hopefully, drive down the price.
There's going to be a much more competitive environment in some respects within the region than existed before. I think that's to the traveler's benefit. It's not just cost, but I think it's the level of service, the nature of the experience, the range of things people will be able to do. And so I think the traveler is going to see, if not immediately, over time, the fact that service levels are going to go up because of much better training, a much better product development that we've seen before.
But with this one community, one vision approach, many skeptics are worried that all 10 ASEAN nations could strive for the same tourism goals and perhaps lose some of its distinct cultural identity. After all, how can you lump countries like Singapore and Burma under the one umbrella?
I think it's still possible to maintain the integrity, the uniqueness of a place without making it look like everywhere else. Now, is that going to happen in a place like Myanmar? Obviously, I can't predict, but hopefully the country is at a place where nowhere else is, that it really is just emerging, for some people at least that haven't been there. It's a great opportunity to see a wonderful country and great people.